I mean, it's our job to have a guest to have a beautiful experience and to go home and say, wow, that was amazing. I think this is what it's all about. This is a responsibility, and it's a responsibility not just with the guest, but even with the staff.
This is the Deep in the Weeds podcast. I'm Anthony Huckstep. We've spoken many times about the importance of Italian migration and culture on the Australian culinary landscape. Recently in Australia, we've seen more of a regional Italian expression to food offerings as operators explore their roots and deliver a taste of specific regions and cities in Italy. What does that look like in an Australian setting, like near a beach? Patrick Agostinelli is the co-owner of BarMilano in Maroubra, Sydney. Patrick, how are you?
Yeah, very good. Thanks for having me.
It's good to have you on the show. You've sort of made a bit of a name for yourself in a suburb that's known more for surf than anything else. So what's it like having a BarMilano down there in Maroubra?
Look, I moved in Maroubra 5 years ago with my wife, and we always loved the place, and we always thought that it was something kind of missing a bit of a kind of, not a spot, but to have kind of something funky, something trendy, something different. And through the years, we always thought, why not us? Why not open a BarMilano? And yeah, and the area is just fell in love straight away with the place, and the community has been extremely supportive since we opened day one. It's just been crazy busy since the beginning, and yeah, I just feeling like a home, to be honest, and it's just great. I just love the area. I wish people will push Maroubra a little bit more because there has so much to offer.
Mm. Tell us a little bit about BarMilano and the offering that you've created there.
So BarMilano is literally a merge between a North Italian cuisine and kind of the coastline, eastern suburbs kind of feeling. So we kind of tweak it a bit, the dishes, and it's literally the merge between the two cultures. So we're offering from dishes which is all about memories, really. You know better than me. We have some dishes like vitello tonnato, which my grandmother used to make at least once or twice every week, and we just love that dish way too much. And I couldn't just resist to put on the menu. And it's all about telling the story of the dishes, the connection, and pass the connection, obviously, to the guests, which is, I think, this is what it's all about, the industry and the hospitality.
Well, tell us a bit about that balance between the tradition and honouring that and the location and of where you are.
Well, obviously not Italian and eastern suburbs, obviously two different locations, two different climates, but we have, as I said, these traditional dishes, and we have some seafood options as well. And we have as well, also we do pizza al taglio as well, which is not a really common thing at the moment in Australia, but it's really growing. And as well, we're changing a bit the dish based on kind of what the guest want as well. You know, we communicate so much with them, and they said we would like to add this or this other dish, and we're just playing a bit. We just want to feel the guest part of the restaurant and part of actually the development of the menu, which I think is extremely important.
You mentioned having seafood dishes and being near the coast, and Milan is sort of landlocked. So is there a lot of seafood dishes from Milan that feature on the menu, or is it a sort of a spin that you've created because of being near a beach in Australia?
It's a bit more a spin, definitely more a spin. I mean, growing up in north of Italy, there's definitely more meats and obviously totally different kind of dishes. So obviously, yeah, we kind of adapt and we just adjust it around obviously the area and the community.
Well, take us back to when you were young and with your family. What sort of role did food play in your family?
My parents had a restaurant for, I think it's past three generations, and Yeah, so it was really old restaurants, and we passed it on from grandparents, my parents, and I don't know. For me, it was like a Luna Park, to be honest. I just loved it. I love touching everything, and sometimes, obviously, my grandmother smacked me in the head and said, "Don't do this," and. But yeah, they were just good, and the smell, the sense of everything, things they were boiling, things they were cooking, flowers everywhere. And it was a bit chaotic, to be honest, because it was a very busy restaurant. But I just loved it. And the interaction with the guests, the energy that was on the floor, everything was it was just incredible. I have so many memories growing up that it's just... I guess this is why I'm here right now with you talking. It's just I still have the vibe, and I still have the energy and all these positive things since I grew up, and I still have the passion, 100%.
Do you have any stories of that time of being young and in those restaurants and that you can share?
Yeah, a few. But one of the coolest thing I think is really was exchanging zucchini or any kind of vegetable with the neighbor. The neighbor was given, I don't know, there's some chicken, so they were giving the egg, and we were giving to them the zucchini and things like that, kind of all trading. And it was just great. It was just, I don't know, it was... But see, my village is only a little town on 900 people in the middle of nowhere in the Alps, close to Switzerland, and everything is just extremely genuine, and nothing really changed in the past 50, 60 years. And it's great. Great memories.
Can you tell us about the food of the region and sort of any sort of dishes that sort of stand out, particularly from the family restaurant as well, that sort of speak of where you're from?
Pizzoccheri is definitely the highlight. Pizzoccheri, they're back with tagliatelle. And they put a lot of garlic, a lot of onion, a lot of cheese, a lot of butter. There's some cabbage and potato, so really rich. And years ago, that it was an extremely back with flour was extremely cheap. So it was my area years ago was pretty poor. So that pizzoccheri dish was literally once a week, once every 3-4 days, always on the table. Quiche and chat, they're like. The cheese fritters made from buckwheat as well, and the tarots, which is similar kind of to a puree with beans, and again, a lot of cheese, a lot of butter. Anything that cheese and butter tastes good anyway. So yeah, very, 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 very kind of basic. A lot of offals as well, and livers, and oh my God, just because years ago, when you have an animal, you literally didn't throw away anything. You use every single part. And some dishes at the moment, I think if we play it on the table, for some people, they're going to be extremely challenged. But for us, back then, it was kind of normal. And I enjoyed it. Tasty food.
Tell us about the move to Australia.
I came in Australia 12 years ago, actually. But before that, I left Italy when I was 18 to learn English, and I went to Ireland for 10 years. And after I came here, 12 years ago. So I've been away 22 years. Yeah, long time, but again, beautiful experience. Some positive times, some negative time, which negative times sometimes I think they're good. I think they make you stronger, and then you grow through it. And Australia 12 years ago, I just fell in love straight away with the country. I was supposed to stay here for literally just 1 year with the working holiday visa, and after take another challenge somewhere else. But I stay because I see the value of the country. I see the principle of the country and everything. And I go literally sponsor. I think after 1 month I was here. So I was very fortunate. So I'm very, very fortunate. And I started to work in Dalinaba in a high volume, high pressure restaurant. We were turning 1,300 covers on Saturday night, which it was wow. Yeah, it was full on. And this is actually the place where I met my wife, Georgette. and she was the general manager at the time, and I learned so much from her, and it was amazing. It was a food restaurant, and it just every single day was busy, no stop, consistently. And from that, I see my passion for food and wine kind of pushed me to go a little bit more on fine dining restaurants. So I went to Pendolino. I was there for a couple of years with Nino. Amazing experience, even in terms of wine. Raffaele was the master of wine. He taught me so much. He put so much passion, and he passed it to me. And I was very fortunate there. And I went to the Gentry, stayed there for a couple of years, which I met Joel Bigford, which we were 2 years after Adaria, which was a general manager at Marmora restaurant. And yeah, things just started from casual, going up one hut, two huts, and just push all the time to get results and, strive always to get the best results possible.
Take us back to your time at Pendolino. Nino Zuccali's created an incredible interpretation of Italian food there. But what was it like for you, who knew Italian restaurants back in Italy? How did Pendolino compare to that when you started working there?
Look, it was very authentic. It was very authentic. They had a floor in which they were just an area they were just making fresh pasta consistently every single day. They had 2 people just doing that. The quality of the product was really high, and the offering, I think it was great. I found Pendolino probably one of the best Italian restaurants in Sydney, and extremely consistent. And Nina, as you know, is a very passionate person, and he's just involved from A to Z on everything. And it was a great place to work, definitely. And the setup is amazing. It's Strand Arcade, so I couldn't find a better place to start a kind of fine dining experience in Australia.
What did you take from your time at Pendolino?
Food, amazing, great. But I think my passion for wine that really started to develop. Valtellina, the area that I'm from, I'm surrounded by wine. We have this wine called Chiavenasca, which is literally a Nebbiolo, and I just every day sipping wine, tasting wine. I did my courses, and it's a great experience. And I think my wine knowledge there really started, and I'm super passionate about it. I'm super passionate about everything that is involved in hospitality. So the wine, yeah, definitely great.
It sent you in a direction of carving a career as a sommelier. Tell us about the wine experience that you like to deliver, and sort of what's important in regards to a wine list and also the offering from a sommelier.
In terms of that, I mean, the wine is, at the moment, example, BarMilano, and try to kind of take the guest to a direction to kind of try the wine from my area, because at the moment, not many people knows this type of wine. So you obviously tell the story to them, and you explain the wine, and they grow a certain attitude and a certain climate. And I think this is all about telling the story to the guests and just give it that genuine interaction. And they really feel it, and they feel comfortable to go for the wine, because it's, as I said, it's a genuine interaction, and they just want to be part of it.
You mentioned that you had experiences with the Gantry and Aria, and also a sort of a detour into Middle Eastern with Nile Restaurant. What's been the real sort of influences on you? Do you have any stories of moments that helped sort of carve your path for you?
I'd probably say when I was general manager at the Gantry. And I think when I met Joel, Joel is we colleague and become very good friends, and we literally have the same passion on everything. And even on days where we're catching up and just try to always deliver a better experience. And it was just, I'm not saying it's an obsession, but it was pretty close. We just want to just get every day to just step up all the time on something, and then, really look after the details and everything. Is just, I think that when I met Joel and I knew since day one that he was definitely going to be one of the best chefs in the country, which I think he is. And I think that moment really something clicked on me, and I said, "That's it. He's the perfect person for me to share food and wine and the whole kind of experience in a restaurant."
You were general manager at Aria and left there during sort of lockdowns and the pandemic. What was it like making that shift during that sort of that adversity and that period of time to create your own venue?
Obviously, pandemic wasn't a good time for anyone, but it's when I was sitting with my wife one evening at home and we had a glass of wine, and I said, I think this is the time for us. This is the time for us to kind of not say get out of comfort zone, but to try to deliver what we always thought it was going to be, to have a restaurant down at Maroubra Beach. And it just clicked like that in 1 second. And we left our jobs, very secure jobs. She has a very secure job for many years. I was at Aria, which probably one of the best restaurants in Australia. And from that day, we just sat down and we put some draft of how the restaurant is going to look, how the menu is going to look, the wine, everything, the concept, that we just didn't stop. It was literally 24/7. It was just great.
Take us back to when you found the site and the challenges in the early days of building your own restaurant.
The place is the day that we kind of we decided to open a restaurant. Just start to search on the internet. We find this place, and it was just perfect. We walked in and we said, "That's it. That's the place." We didn't really overthink. I think it took about half an hour, and we just visioned straight away how it was going to look, the restaurant. Obviously, it was very challenging because the COVID and all the stuff that obviously happened, but we were confident. We were confident that the product was going to work. We were confident that the community was definitely going to be behind, and it was something different that is kind of was going to kind of shake a bit Maroubra and bring something different, a different offer, and a different dining experience.
With a family and history with restaurants, what sort of advice or learnings did you take from family in regards to running your own restaurant?
My family, I think probably the best advice they gave me is in any situation there's positive and negative. Just take the positive, forget about the negative, stick with your goal and just go for it. And that's it. I think this is what my mother always repeat all the time. And I think there's a good approach. And again, when something doesn't work or in a situation that is not completely positive, I mean, you need to kind of stick what is in your head and what's your vision of the restaurant be successful. I mean, that's life. I mean, it can't be just happy days every day, you know. And from the negative, you learn. You just get stronger. You get thicker skin, and you just you kind of look into yourself, and it makes you stronger.
You mentioned that you run the restaurant with your wife. Tell us about the operations and how you pull it together.
Sometimes I don't even know how we pull it together. Sometimes we argue, which I think is normal, and we argue about silly things. At the end, as I said, the vision is exactly the same. So we work, and we sometimes kind of have this little argument to make the restaurant always better, to make the offering always better. And there is sometimes, there is challenging, but I think it's we have so much passion, both of us, that it just is beneficial at the end for the business and for BarMilano.
You spent your career in some pretty incredible restaurants in Sydney, but what surprised you about running your own business?
Look, it sounds a bit strange, but I feel the different, but I don't feel the different. In a way that every place that I worked, I always treat the restaurant like if it was my restaurant. So, and I think that's the key of hospitality, or any person that works in hospitality. I think you need to treat the restaurant like if it's your restaurant. How would you approach the guests, or how you sell the offering of the restaurant, how you interact with the guests, if it's your restaurant. And I think that is always be on me. And I think that's the key of ever successful business. And I think that should be kind of the aim of everyone.
You mentioned a dish a bit earlier that was influenced by your grandmother. Is there a dish or two you can tell us about on the menu that does reach into history and sort of tell the story of your family's past?
Yeah, my grandmother, because in the kitchen it was my grandmother and my father. So we live in a house. They were literally my family and my grandparents, and there were 3 different families. My uncle, and we all living there. We all sharing there. Yeah. It was pretty intense. And my grandmother, the dishes, like I said, the pizza al taglio. There again, my grandmother used to make it quite often. Cotoletta milanese, often, very often. The polenta imbrasato, very, very often. And it was my father was amazing chef, and so is my grandmother, but everything was fresh. Pasta was fresh. Everything was just spot on. Beautiful mushroom vol au vent, which actually I can see in some restaurants they're coming back. A bit of fashion, but I think, and traditional, obviously, tiramisu and all these dishes. But it's the preparation. I think the preparation is the best part. I mean, when you eat, it's even better. But the preparation, the cutting, the kind of putting all the ingredients together, the measure and all the ingredients, the build up before you actually finish the dish and you eat it. I think that was the difference. It was the chatting and the conversation. This is seasonal. This is not seasonal. This is blah, 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 blah. And the explanation of the little details of the ingredients, which is cuisine. That sounds pretty basic, but I think there's so much behind, and then the passion and the love for the ingredients is incredible.
You're giving Sydney-siders a taste of back home, in the context of Australia's dining scene. What does family think about what you've created?
The families in the guests, they love to have a taste of what not Italian cuisine is. They feel that there is all kind of the memories that I had, we put on the menu, and we literally deliver it to the guest. And the story start when I bring all the dishes, we explain the menu and all the memories of my childhood, about my grandmother and my parents. And the guests love that. As I said, they want to hear the story. They love to see the owners on the floor. They delivering this experience, being, as I said, have this genuine, again, interaction with them. They want to know more and more and more all the time. And the menu change as well. Every 2-3 weeks, we add 3-4 different dishes. And they all ask me, when are you going to put pizzoccheri again on the menu, which is one of my traditional dishes from my village, which they love. And we put one night as a special, and it's sold out literally in like half an hour, 1 hour. And it's incredible. It's a beautiful feeling. It's a beautiful feeling.
What about your family? What do they think about what you've created here?
They're proud. I think they're proud. They're very proud. They're very proud. And if I'm here opening the restaurant, it's obviously because of them and my grandparents and all the passion they passed it to me. So, yeah, they're very proud.
Has it been hard creating something so amazing here, but being so far from them?
Yeah, no easy, definitely. But my father promised me he's gonna come this summer or next summer, so he can help me in the kitchen as well. So that's gonna make things a little bit easier, because he makes the best café de Paris on planet Earth. Yeah, he worked in Switzerland for several years, and he studied in Lausanne, one of the best cooking school in Europe. His skills there are out of control, amazing. So hopefully he's going to come here very soon so he can help me to put extra input on the menu.
What you've created there at BarMilano, it's got a real... it's affected so many people and known as a place to not just dine but have fun. What do you love about what you do?
And as we said at the beginning, it's like a Luna Park. It's still now it's crazy. After 30 years plus, I still have the same thing. The guests have a smile and joy and just have fun with the food and just the ambience. It's our job to have a guest to have a beautiful experience and to go home and say, wow, that was amazing. I think this is what it's all about. This is a responsibility, and it's a responsibility not just with the guest, but even with the staff, in the sense that we have to build the staff in a way that when they're going to go to the next job, they're going to be the best. We want to pass that same feeling and passion to them, and I think that is the key. And you need to be surrounded by this type of stuff. And the staff didn't really change since we first opened. And we're very fortunate because at the moment, as you know, there's a bit of shortage in the industry. And they're very, very lucky.
Well, Patrick, congratulations on what you've created there at BarMilano, and it's an absolute honour to have you on Deep in the Weeds today. Please keep in touch, and we'll catch up again soon.
Will do. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me, and have a great day, I guess.
This is the Deep in the Weeds podcast. I'm Anthony Huckstep. Stay tuned as we take a deep dive into the lives of the incredible people who ply their trade in the food and hospitality sector. Special thanks to executive producer Rob Locke for making this all happen. Follow us on Instagram at Deep in the Weeds Podcast, or email us at podcast@deepintheweeds.com.au. Stay safe and be well.